Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another week of breakdown and predictions. This week we got a really good card, stack card actually. UFC Paris, headlined by Renato Moicano and Benoit Saint-Denis. Really awesome main event there. So, right before we get this video started, man, patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru. I got a few bets on there. I'm going to be adding some breakdowns for some other promotions today and tomorrow. And I'm going to be looking to make some money this weekend. We're coming off a successful Dana White Contender Series in terms of betting, where we cashed on the first fight of the night, Alexia Tainara, and made some money there. So looking to keep that going. And besides that, man, hit the like button on this video and tell me down below, what do you think of my predictions, and who are your most confident picks and what you're betting on this card? Because I'm pretty curious. I think there's some fairly close fights on this card, and I think that it's a good one. There's some high-level matchups. Obviously, the France crowd so far has always delivered, so I'm excited for it for sure, man. And let's get right into it. Let's get in this first fight of the night. We got Beloji Oki taking on Chris Duncan, and two guys that are both entertaining. You look at Oki, he's a boxer for the most part and a really great athlete, comes in good shape and good pressure fighter. He cuts the cage off. He'll throw that really nice long jab, and he really picked Timmy Kwamba apart with the jab. Very good at pull countering with the check hook or the rear cross. Sometimes he can get kind of clipped a little bit because he's playing that slip and rip game, but normally he can roll with punches fairly well, even if he does get touched, and he's really good at going to the body as well. And if he can get you near the fence like he did Dylan Salvador, his combinations are really nasty. He has elite speed, he has great power, and he's a smart fighter. He picks his shots. He doesn't really kick much, so he is kind of one-dimensional, but he makes it work for himself. And I would say he's still green as far as wrestling and grappling go. You can tell his athleticism transfers over because he is super fast with the sprawl, with his reactions. And this fight, I do expect he's going to be ready to defend takedowns. I mean, I think he's going to be on point with that. He's a great athlete. You know that that's probably a big proponent that he's been working on in camp because of his last fight with Timmy Kwamba, where he did get out wrestled a little bit. He doesn't really dig underhooks the best, so I think cage wrestling would be really smart for him. Being with Extreme Couture, I mean, they know what they're doing, and they're going to get him on point. And I feel like he's very good at staying composed. Oki, even if he does get kind of controlled against the fence, or you can take him down, kind of mitigating damage, controlling the wrist, but he just needs to get better at standing up without exposing the back, and just kind of overall just defending takedowns in general. But cardio for Oki is really good, and I anticipate he's going to have a good performance on Saturday. I think he's going to look solid, but he's taking on a tough customer in Chris Duncan, who's going to be trying to bounce back from a bad fight with Manuel Torres, where he was 2-0. He was going in there against Torres, who we just saw got a big fight off of that victory where he got to fight Ignacio Bahamondes in the Sphere. And if Duncan would have won that one, moved to 3-0, he would have been in a big-time fight. But now we got Duncan in a fight where he's facing an up-and-coming prospect. He's the underdog, and he has to come in here and remind the UFC and prove to people that he's still someone that they're going to want to push and try to move up the ladder, because if he loses this one, I think that the UFC is going to lose a lot of confidence in him in terms of him being a potential prospect. But I think the game plan for Duncan is pretty clear in this one, and he's going to have to wrestle. And he has the bodies of the American top team to work with to be able to do that. But you look at him, he's a brawler, hittable but very tough guy. He has a good right hand. He looks to leg kick, kind of pressure in, try to clinch you up a lot, slow you down. And then I think he's going to have big issues with the speed difference early on. I think he'll get chewed up by the jab, and it may kind of come down to a leg kick versus jab battle. And Chris Duncan just has to be really diligent with the leg kicks. But in the pocket, Duncan does have power. He could land and change the fight like we saw him do with Charlie Campbell. But I think Duncan has to use wrestling to win this fight. Overall, I see him being at a disadvantage on the feet. And Duncan has shown better wrestling recently. And overall, throughout his career, he's always had decent grappling. Both of his UFC wins, he hit takedowns in those fights. And he needs to pressure, try to use that double against the cage. And even if he can't finish it, at least get some clinch control time there and kind of try to be physical and maybe wear on Oki, get him a little bit more tired. But if Duncan does win, I think it'll be him controlling a lot from that wrestling ride position, landing short knees, mat returning Oki, and using his cardio. It's kind of a hard matchup for Duncan, though. I think that the jab of Oki is going to be a big issue, and just the speed difference overall I see being a problem. Duncan enjoys getting exchanges, and I think he's going to get lit up if he decides to brawl here. I think the body is going to be open, the head will be open, and I think Oki is going to land early and often, and I see him being able to mitigate a lot of the damage, even if he is taken down or pushed against the cage for portions of the fight, and still be able to take the rounds based off damage. And the issue with Duncan's grappling and wrestling game is he isn't dangerous on the ground, really. I don't see him having much of a submission threat. We saw Manuel Torres, someone who can bring in those submissions, got to the back and finished Duncan in a scramble pretty quickly. So I kind of like Oki in this matchup, and I'm going to pick him to get a finish, actually. I'm going to predict that Oki goes in there and earns the second-round knockout victory over Chris Duncan. So give me Beloji Oki to start off the card there with a finish. And continuing through the card, we got the first Frenchman or French woman that's going to be fighting, and it's going to be Nora Cornell. She's taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti, and this is a rematch. The first fight between these two girls was not that close. It was in 2020-21, and Cavalcanti was pretty much better in every area. On the feet, Cavalcanti had a huge advantage. When she pressured, she was able to back Cornell up, and she landed jabs, leg kicks, straight punches. She actually hurt Cornell really early and hurt her multiple times throughout the fight. She was faster and landed a lot of volume over the 15 minutes. And in round one, she took some hard punches, ate them well, so I feel like she's proven that she could take the power of Cornell. And even when Cornell tried to get aggressive, it didn't really go good for her. Cavalcanti was able to hurt Cornell with counters moving backwards. And the one major thing I was surprised about was how Cavalcanti was able to hurt Cornell so often. I mean, it seemed like she had a lot of power in that fight that night, but she was much faster too. And as far as wrestling and grappling goes, Cornell was trying to mix it up, but it was actually Cavalcanti who did get taken down and got the sweep, and then got her own takedowns and was more effective from the top position. So I feel like she looked stronger in the grappling area, in the clinch. She looked stronger at range, so she looked better everywhere. It just seemed as if she didn't want to be in Cornell's guard. And Cornell did have some success in round 3 where she kind of said screw it and came forward, but Cavalcanti showed good cardio, and she quickly shut that down with good time wrestling clinching, which showed good fight IQ. And the one bad moment in the fight was her getting rocked with the spinning back fist in the first round, but outside of that, it was a pretty comprehensive victory for Jacqueline Cavalcanti, and both fighters have fought several times since. That was also like very early fights in their career for both of them, but I don't see much difference in their styles. You know, Cornell is also getting a little older. She's 33, so if anything, you expect the younger Cavalcanti, who's already won, to have widened the edge even further, but Cornell has the home crowd advantage. She has won a perceived robbery against Jocelyn Edwards before, so maybe she could get some home cooking if she can keep it competitive. And there's always that danger factor with Cornell because she does have some power. We saw in her last fight she was losing but turned it around in the second round, got the finish. And I just think that Cornell is going to need to find the finish to win because Cavalcanti is just better everywhere. And Cavalcanti can fight close sometimes, but I just think she's going to just do what she did in her last fight. Use the sharpness, use the speed. She's shown good chin, good cardio, good fight IQ, and I think she's going to be able to go in here and win a decision once again. So give me Jacqueline Cavalcanti to get the victory in the second fight of the night. And continuing on through this card, we got Daniel Barras taking on Victor Altamirano in this one. And not a fight I'm too interested from a betting perspective. I do think it'll be fun to watch, but I think it's kind of a difficult fight to predict. Daniel Barras, he looks really good in a lot of fights, but you look at the opponents that he's been facing, a lot of his wins where he's ran through guys, he's fighting really low-level opposition, and I just don't know exactly how that translates to when he's fighting higher-level guys because he hasn't been able to get the job done a lot of the times when he's faced stiffer competition. But you look at Victor Altamirano, he's coming off a loss that a lot of people thought he got the win in that fight versus Felipe dos Santos, but I don't find him to be necessarily the most impressive fighter either. I feel like he gets by a lot on cardio and grit, and he's kind of just like an all-rounder. In the stand-up bars is definitely a lot more technical. He has a big power advantage, and Bars is real sharp on the feet. You know, he comes forward, solid straight punches, good hooks to the body. He has nice leg kicks, and early on, I think he's going to be sharp and dangerous, but Altamirano's kind of awkward style. You know, he's moving his head, he's switching stances, he is tall and long for the weight class, so I think he's going to be difficult to hit with 1-2s and these technical striking combinations that Barres tends to throw. And Altamirano just throws a lot of kicks, kind of death by 1,000 touch kind of striker, and then he mixes in a lot of takedowns. And if he can get Barres to the ground and hit a few takedowns, I could see the fight playing out in his favor. But I do think that Barres will potentially be able to finish Victor early if he can get to that body and kind of maybe hurt him to the body or get a blitz on him early on. We did see him get almost finished in his fight that he ended up getting that submission in against the Brazilian guy. So I do think Altamirano, I'm going to pick him here just because you look at Daniel Barres, he's getting a little bit older. He's like 33 years old, I believe, maybe even a little older than that, and he just hasn't been able to get it done at UFC level. I feel like he's probably not going to finish. It's going to go to decision. And, man, I'm just going to go with Altamirano, but this is one that I think could go either way. I don't have a great lean on this fight, so put down in the comments below, who do you guys have, Barres or Altamirano, and is anyone confident in a pick here? You know, tell me what you think about this matchup right there. But, yeah, man, continuing on to the next fight, another solid fight here. We got Aline Perez taking on Daria Zelendzakova, and, yeah, man, I mean, I think Aline Perez, she's done well in the UFC. She's gotten better, but she's still pretty one-dimensional. She can't take you down or kind of just catch you with the wayward spinning attack like she did Jocelyn Edwards. Her striking is pretty dismal. I mean, she will move around effectively. She's evasive. She could switch stance, but limited offense, low volume, doesn't really have much boxing to speak of, really just relies on a lot of kicks and then spinning attacks, and she isn't good going backwards. She tends to just move, throw a distracting strike or two, and then try to shoot. And Daria is much faster. She's more athletic. Her boxing is nice. She has a nice jab. She could string together some decent combinations. Defensively, she can be a little bit hittable, but I think she's going to have a big edge if they stay standing. I feel like Daria is going to let her hands go. She's going to be sharper. She's going to be a lot taller. I think she's going to be able to maybe pressure into Perez and just have the sharper boxing. I don't think Perez likes getting hit that much. I think that she's very much a hammer and not a great nail. And I do feel like she's going to struggle to get takedowns off the back foot. If she can get Daria up against the fence and kind of get in that position where she can body lock Daria to the mat, that's where Aline's really good. She's good at kind of pulling you off the cage using her strength. And I feel like Daria has shown some deficiencies with their clinch takedowns. But I think the grappling between these two girls is pretty competitive. I mean, we saw Daria throw up an armbar. That was pretty close in her fight with Melissa Mullins. And I think she's not that bad off of her back. And Perez, her last fight, I mean, she was getting reversed. She lost position several times versus Jocelyn Edwards. And even in the fight with Lucy Pudilova, third round, she was put in some bad spots. So I'm going to go with the underdog here. I think Daria Zelendzakova has more skills, and she's going to be able to pressure, use that jab, use her size, maybe defend a few takedowns, be the better conditioned fighter, and win this one on points. I think if Perez takes her down, she's not going to do much with the takedowns, and Daria could be maybe effective off her back. The fight's also going to be in Paris where Daria trains with MMA Factory, so I think that she's going to feel confident at home. She's going to have the crowd on her side, and I just kind of lean with her here. I feel like she's a decent prospect. If she can show her full skill set, I think she could do well. She's beaten fighters like Liana Jojua, who I think are kind of similar to Perez, so I just think Zelenakova has value here at that line, and I'm going to pick her here in this fight. So next fight, we got Taylor Lapilus taking on Vince Morales. Really fun, intriguing fight here. I like this fight. I feel like it's going to be close. Taylor Lapilus is a big favorite. I don't necessarily agree with that because you look at Lapilus's fights, I mean, he doesn't really usually differentiate himself that much. He's a technical striker that's more low volume, picks his shots, and he wins in, slow technical striking fights, which a lot of the times can be close on the judges' scorecards, and Lapilus isn't someone that has like crazy killer instinct. He's usually going to win by decision, but he's in France. He's had a full camp for this fight, and he's taking on Vince Morales, who's coming in here on pretty short notice, and it's going to be his return to the UFC after 5 wins outside the UFC after being cut. So shout out to Vince Morales for making his way back, and I do think that if he had a full camp, it could potentially be a winnable matchup and really close fight, because you look at it, Lapilus isn't like a crazy kicker. I know that his last fight he did land a lot of low kicks, but Morales has had a lot more issues with guys that are very mobile, evasive, move around, throw a lot of kicks, and kind of control the center with lateral footwork. Whereas Taylor Lapilus, he's more of the type of striker where he could be a little flat-footed. He lets you back him up, and he tries to counter you with the pull twos or a 1-2, a 3-2, and he will let you push him to the fence. He has good takedown defense, strength, and eventually kind of get his way off the fence. You get tired, and then he goes right back to being in that striking element where he's kind of picking at you with those technical strikes again. Vince Morales, he's going to have to use that boxing that he has to get on the inside, make it more ugly, and then try to mix in some takedowns, get on top, use that submission game where he has really nice chokes and things like that. And, honestly, I think it could be fairly competitive. I think it'll play out close. I think it'll be closer than the line indicates, but I just feel like Lapilus with the hometown advantage, with the full camp advantage, being maybe a little bit of a sharper striker, I think he's going to be able to edge it. He's a little bigger, longer, and I think he'll be able to stuff a lot of the takedowns. If Morales gets some clinch control time, I don't know how much the judges are really going to give him credit for that. So I feel like Lapilus is going to land the more eye-popping offense at range, kind of when they're free-flow striking. So I'll say Lapilus was that one via decision, maybe 29-28 or a competitive 30-27 there. And next fight, we got a fight that isn't competitive at all. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. Ludovic Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. Don't really know why they put this fight together. I guess maybe they want Ludovic Klein going a little bit of a streak here. Klein has done well versus these tall strikers, so I don't really know. I mean, I'm not going to speak too much on this one. I feel like Klein is going to walk him down. He's going to be able to be the better striker, faster, more explosive. He's going to be able to mix in those body locks, get on top, and could find the finish or win a decision. I mean, Klein, he tends to play it safe in a lot of his wins and go the full distance, but he's so much better than Roberts than that he should prioritize a finish here. And kind of all I got to say about this one, I mean, Roberts, if he had a little bit more power, maybe that length could pay dividends for him a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to be a big factor here. I feel like Roberts really isn't the best at utilizing his reach either, so I just think Klein's going to run through him here, and the line indicates that. So Ludovic Klein is the pick there. And this next fight, another big favorite with Umar Sees taking on Dawoon Jung. And, this one's a little bit closer just because Dawoon Jung has that UFC experience. He's fought some high-level guys in the UFC as well. And he probably has the stand-up advantage. He has good boxing. He's shown decent clinch offense. He's even shown an ability to hit clinch takedowns and win that way. But he's facing a super great athlete with an excellent frame for the weight class that moves really well with really good takedown ability. And I feel like Umar is a little bit of a overrated finisher on the ground. I think that guys with good jiu-jitsu will be able to kind of nullify him, and then we'll see how he does when he has to go deeper in fights, which I haven't seen him really have much of a cardio problem, but he will kind of start to shoot these bad takedowns. But this fight, I don't know if he's going to have that test, because I just feel like Da Woon Jung, he's likely going to give up the takedown, and I don't like him off of his back, man. He likes to turtle and try to go to his knees, but he's too slow with it, and he lets guys kind of get a hold of his wrist and pound on him or take his back, and I feel like Umar is going to be explosive, dynamic early, and maybe get him out of there quick like he did Tuco Tokos by getting him to expose the back and getting a choke or ground and pounding him out of there. So I'm going to say the Umar C train keeps rolling here, but I am curious to see who they give him next, and I am a little bit skeptical about this guy's striking. I watched this fight with Pauline Bagai. I feel like he looked really uncomfortable on the feet. He was shooting some bad takedowns, and Bagai even reversed him, got on top a couple times, but this fight, this matchup, I don't think is the one that's going to show much. I feel like C's going to pass this one with pretty flying colors. So give me Umar C in that one to win as the big favorite. But, continuing on through the card, we got a UFC debutant in Ivan Erslan taking on a 15-fight UFC veteran in Iwan Kutelaba. And this is another one I'm not going to spend too much time on because I feel it's a very volatile fight. I feel like it's a pick'em for a reason. I wouldn't bet on it or anything like that. Ivan, he's coming in from KSW, and KSW has kind of produced hit and miss prospects where we got guys that have been good KSW fighters that came over and flopped, and ones that have done really well. Even guys like Dricus, Jan Blachowicz, Ioanni and Jacek, all that became champs, things like that. But Ivan, I feel like he's a solid striker. You look at him, he's definitely very athletic and explosive. Good kind of athletic stance, hard leg kicks, nice jab, and he likes to kind of be lower volume at distance, pick his shots with a jab, with the leg kick, and then wait for like a certain moment, explode in with wild punches, and he closes distance quick. He'll throw these big power hooks, and when he connects, he can knock you out cold. So kind of an interesting style, but I feel like he's kind of chinny, man. I mean, you see him get clipped and dropped. I've seen him get knocked out cold. And if he just opens up and gets in these exchanges with someone like Iwan Kutelaba, where it's a 50-50 battle, both these guys are going to be very vulnerable to get knocked out. Kutelaba, kind of same type of thing, where very explosive guy that goes out there, tries to knock you out early with big power hooks, blitz you. Nice kicker as well. And I think that Iwan obviously has the wrestling advantage, but that's one thing I don't really know about Ivan. He does look strong. Like I said, he has an athletic type of stance, so I think he's going to be kind of hard to get in on and take down, but have never seen him off of his back and have never seen him really face a guy that tried to grapple him real heavily. I've seen him defend a couple kind of half-hearted takedowns, but that's about it. And I don't know. I feel it's 50-50 fight. I'm going to lean with Iwan, with the guy with the 15 UFC fights to 0 UFC fights. That's definitely a big deal. I think Ivan might come in here a little bit tense and nervous, maybe try to go out there early and make a statement, make a mistake, and get clipped, and Iwan knocks him out. So I'm just going to go with the experience of Kutelaba. I feel like both these guys are a little chinny. And I think it's going to be a knockout win for either guy, but I'm going to slightly lean towards Iwan Kutelaba in that fight. And making our way to the main card now, we got Matt Frevola taking on Fares Ziam. First fight on the main card. Really, really close fight once again. I feel like Fares Ziam had a really bad performance his last fight with Claudio Puelles. I think he's looked way better than that in some of his other UFC fights. But he still was able to get the win, and he's on a 3-fight winning streak. He's fighting at home against a guy that's going to get him into the top 15. Matt Frevola, he is coming off a loss to the one half of the main event of this card, Benoit Saint-Denis, where he was on that long knockout streak, had that big win over Drew Dober, but Benoit Saint-Denis head kicked him in the first round, knocked him out. And Frevola hasn't fought since November of last year. He's 35 years old, so that layoff wasn't optimal. But he did get knocked out, and he had a fight scheduled earlier this year that didn't happen, so it's not as if he hasn't been training at all and things like that. And Favola's a guy that always stays in shape, and he's always going to be game. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think Farziem has a lot of potential, and it's just he could be hit or miss with his performances, and we'll see if he'll ever kind of meet that standard that I think he can get to. But both these guys have clear paths to victory in this fight. I mean, I think the stand-up, Ziam's going to have a big edge there. I know Favola has that knockout ability, but Ziam is a really technical striker. I think he's going to be hard to clip with the one-shot knockout, and even if he does get hit, I've seen Ziam get touched with a lot of heaters, and it seems like he has no reaction. Like, he has a very good chin. So we've never seen him get hurt before, and I think that Ziam will be able to eat a couple big shots from Favola if need be. But ultimately, I think on the feet, Ziam's going to have to pressure and be aggressive, and I think he will do that. And Favola, kind of clunky guy, but he moves around and will throw a lot of kicks and then explode in with power punches. He feints the level changes, and he does have good wrestling, so fighters will respect it. He'll come over the top and put you out. And then in this fight, obviously, I think wrestling is going to be a big part of his game plan. You saw Claudio Puelles hit several takedowns and be in a really close fight that could have went either way with Ziam. And you'd think Favola is the better wrestler, but Puelles was getting these kind of weird takedowns. I feel like Ziam, if he comes in on point here and has a good performance, he'll be able to shut down the takedowns with his length. If he does get taken down, I see him being able to get back up, and I just think he's going to do a little bit more damage on the feet. But I see this fight playing out really close. I do think that it's more of a dogger pass on the Favola side because Favola is going to be throwing a lot of volume, maybe mixing a couple takedowns, and I think that Ziam's going to be landing the cleaner strike. So it's going to be a little subjective, but I just think they're going to give the decision to Ziam in Paris, and he'll get the win there over Matt Favola. I think it will be a decision there in that fight. And next fight of the night, Morgan Charrier taking on Gabriel Miranda. One of the biggest favorites on the card with Morgan Charrier, and I think he has to emphasize a finish here, go in there and try to get Gabriel out of there. Miranda, wild guy who goes in there, blitzes forward, and really is takedown oriented. He has good wrestling, decent grappling, but I don't think he's going to be able to go out there and just take Morgan down and submit him. I feel like Charrier is going to shut that down and be the cleaner striker and kind of pick this guy apart and knock him out. The issue with Charrier when he's such a huge favorite is, look at his career, man. I mean, a lot of his fights, when they go to decision, they're so close. So it's like if this fight, if he can't finish, might play out very competitively. But I just think he's levels above Miranda overall, and I think he's going to be able to get him out of there with a knockout. So give me Morgan Charrier to get the knockout in the second or third in that fight. Next fight, we got Brian Battle and Kevin Jusay. Very, very interesting fight. A fight that I'm looking forward to, this one. I think it's going to come down to if Battle can hit the takedowns, because I think that on the feet, Jusay is going to have the edge there. I mean, Battle, I don't see him as an elite striker. The guy has gotten better athletically, has good kicks, but I think Jusay is going to be able to walk him down, make the cage small, attack the legs, use that jab, get the better of most of the punch exchanges, and be the better stand-up guy. So Battle's going to have to clinch him. He's going to have to weaponize that pace, try to hit some takedowns, get on top of Jusay. And most fighters from City Kickboxing, I mean, they're usually very good with the clinch game, with the anti-grappling, with the get-ups when they are taken down. And we'll see if Jusay is kind of similar. We did see Jusay jump on a submission in his UFC debut, and I just have a feeling he's going to have decent enough takedown defense. I don't feel like Brian Battle is like a world beater wrestler, and if Jusay can keep it standing, I think he's going to do more damage, be a little bit sharper, more effective on the feet. Battle's a guy that I always kind of pick against and don't trust, and then you'll get the job done, though. So tell me what you guys think. Am I kind of underestimating Battle again here? But I'm going to go with Kevin Jusay to win a decision in that fight there. Next fight here, we got William Gomes taking on Joe Anderson Brito. I do personally think the line's wide on this fight. I think Gomes has a chance to win. But it's one of those fights where William Gomes, he has to be perfect for 15 minutes, and Joe Anderson Brito only needs to be perfect for 1 second. So, you look at William Gomes, he's kind of a runner, track star type of style where touches and moves, very long, rangy. He's good at evading head strikes, really good at that. So I think that Brito needs to go to the legs, go to the body in this fight. But yeah, Gomes is very evasive. He tries to play tag with you, and then he can mix in some takedowns as well. But this fight, he's just going to have to be on the back foot, sticking and moving. He's going to have to kind of touch Brito with some heat early, I think, to hit him with kind of like that respect me type of power, and to get Brito off of him. But I don't know if he has that, though. I don't know if he has that type of power. Brito, I think his striking has gotten a lot better. You saw him, like, in his loss in the UFC. He was winging a lot of punches and just being super wild, where he can't get back to that in this fight. He has to stay calm, use the low kicks, throw the straighter punches like he has been doing, and work his way into those takedowns and try to get Gomes up against the cage or on his back and get that submission or get a dominant decision win with the grappling. Because I think if this stays standing for 3 rounds, it will be very competitive. Gomes will look like the fight should have been like a pick'em. Burrito needs to be able to mix it up, and I think he will. I think that he will be able to use that physicality that he has. I'm a little worried about the cardio with Burrito, man. I feel like he has been getting these finishes. We haven't been able to see some of the deficiencies in his game. Even if you remember that win that he had over Jonathan Pierce, it did look like he was gassing a little bit in that fight. So I do think the line's a little off, but ultimately I just think that Joe Anderson, if he can get William Gomes against the cage, there's going to be a big physicality advantage. He's going to be a lot better grappler. I think that he's going to hit harder and he's going to be the guy going forward. So that's going to be a good look for the judges too. And like I said, Gomes has to be per 15 minutes. He has to be able to defend the takedowns, and I just don't know if he's going to have that ability to do that. So give me Brito as the big favorite to get the victory in that fight. And finally, we got the co-main event here. We got Brendan Allen versus Nasruddin Imavov. And both these guys have been looking really good. Obviously, Allen's on a big winning streak. Nasruddin Imavov is also on a winning streak and just got a win over Jared Cannonier, a top 3 fighter at the time when they were fighting. And he's getting another home game where he's fighting in France. He's done well in these spots in the UFC. And Brendan Allen is coming in here with a big chip on his shoulder. He wanted this fight to be 5 rounds. He wanted this fight to be in the United States. He feels like he's getting overlooked in terms of being a title contender. So this is Brendan Allen's chance to come in here with all these bad circumstances and show everyone I should be the guy that's getting catered to. I should be the guy that's getting these big opportunities. And we'll see if he could snatch that from Nasruddin Imavov. But style-wise, it's an excellent fight. Brendan Allen, he's a guy that's about that action, man. He's ready to go. I mean, we saw that with him and Marvin Vettori in fucking Casino, man. I mean, they were brawling over there. So, Allen's going to be coming forward, throwing heat. And I think Allen's going to have to be aggressive in this fight. He can't stay at distance and play that range striking game with a guy like Imavov, who is just really good with that. That's his nickname, the Sniper. And if you want to play that distance game with him, that tag striking game from the outside, I just don't see that going well for Allen. Even though he's improved his stand-up, Allen has to get in that pocket and throw heat. And he does throw big punches. And I think that if he could tag Imavov in the pocket, maybe he could rock him and hurt him. But I do think that it's going to be a struggle for Allen to get on the inside. I think Imavov's going to be moving a lot. I think he's going to be using that jab. He's going to be sticking and not getting hit. And Allen has to be able to get the takedown going, man. Maybe he could try to get to the back. And if he can get into a dominant position on Imavov, maybe we'll see him be able to hit a submission or get something done. But ultimately, I think Imavov will be able to shut a lot of that down. And I think Imavov can even hit takedowns himself. Allen, his takedown defense is not that good. And we've seen Imavov use a lot of good offensive wrestling. Maybe if he surprises him with some takedowns, that could make him the clear winner. I could see a late finish materializing for Imavov if Allen gets a little desperate, But I feel like Imhoff is going to play this one safe. He's going to know that Allen is dangerous on the feet, on the ground, and he's going to want to get a win. He's going to want to fight clean. I think Allen's going to be able to take a lot of damage as well. So give me Nasruddin Imhoff via decision in the co-main event there. And finally, we got the main event. Renato Moicano taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. Awesome fight between two guys that are threats in the lightweight division. Renato Moicano, he's coming off that excellent victory, comeback victory against Jalen Turner, where he got almost knocked out in the first round. Turner kind of screwed himself with the walk-away knockout, and but Moicano wasn't knocked out. He got back up and knocked out Jalen Turner in the second round. So Moicano got that victory, and he got that off the heels of a win over Drew Dober. So he's coming in here with some nice momentum, some good wins. Whereas Benoit Saint-Denis coming in here off the first loss that he had at lightweight in his career. Previous to his last fight, his one loss was at 170 versus Leski on short notice. There was a lot of, maybe excuses you could make if you're Benoit Saint-Denis for the loss. But this last fight with Dustin Poirier was at 155, and he couldn't get the job done. And there was another excuse a little bit with the staph infection, but I feel like that loss was a little bit more significant. I feel like that loss kind of showed where Benoit Saint-Denis has to make improvements, and hopefully he's been real with himself in terms of knowing that it wasn't just the staph why he lost. He lost because of skills as well. So hopefully we see a better version of Benoit Saint-Denis all around skill-wise and conditioning-wise for this fight. But I think it's an awesome stylistic matchup. I think that early on, Benoit Saint-Denis, like against everyone, is going to be very dangerous. And I think it's going to be more dangerous in the stand-up round because as far as the wrestling and the grappling goes, yes, I think Benoit could hit some doubles on Renato Moicano for sure. Maybe get to that wrestling ride position or the back even. But I don't see Benoit being that threatening to Renato Moicano on the ground. I don't think he's going to ground and pound him out. I don't think he's going to submit him. Moicano would just have to totally quit and get broken for that to happen, I think. And I don't think Moicano's that guy. I don't think he's going to break like that. His camp, American Top Team, has seen like Thiago Moises fought them, Poirier fought him. So they know Benoit's attacks on the ground and where he tries to finish, what he does. And I think Moicano is going to be very aware on the mat and not have too much trouble in terms of danger. Maybe he could get controlled a little bit. But on the feet, you could see Moicano, especially against southpaws, could struggle with the kicks a little bit. And that's Benoit's best facet. And it was taken away from him in his last fight with Poirier, where it was the southpaw versus southpaw matchup. He didn't have that body kick to use in that fight. So this fight, I think the body kicks, the head kicks are going to be back for him. Moicano is going to have to figure out how to deal with those early. He got rocked with the head kick drop by RDA. We saw him get rocked early or hurt to the body early by Jalen Turner with the front kick to the body. Both those guys southpaws. So I just think that Benoit's going to be dangerous with the kicks early. But as far as the boxing goes, Benoit has power in his hands. He's good at kind of picking and pulling, going to the body, kind of slipping, waiting for you to throw, and then going again, feigning the level changes, and just making it a weird, chaotic fight. But super hittable guy. Moicano, likes to be a lot more technical. 1-2s. He'll throw, 2-3s. He's throwing the straight punches down the middle. Big uppercuts, knees. There's nice leg kicks. I think if they get in these exchanges and Moicano can survive the early going, he'll start to be the sharper striker, landing the cleaner attacks. I think elbows are something that Moicano is going to have as a part of his game plan. And Moicano can hit takedowns too, and I think if Moicano gets on top, he's going to be a lot more dangerous than Benoit Saint-Denis on top. So I'm leaning towards the underdog in this fight, man. I think Moicano can get the job done if he could survive the early going. I just think Moicano overall is better technically on the feet if he could survive that bully early onslaught from Benoit. And he's the better grappler as well, and I trust his conditioning more. As far as heart and toughness, no one could say Benoit doesn't have heart or toughness, but Renato Moicano has it in spades as well. And I think that Moicano's not going to break like some of these other guys that Benoit's fought previously. It's going to come down to two tired guys whose skills are better. And I think it's going to be Renato Moicano in that spot. So give me the underdog. Give me Renato Moicano to go in there and get the victory in this fight. I actually see him getting a finish in the third, fourth, or fifth. So those props have great value as well. But I think Moicano is going to get the win in this one and send Benoit Saint-Denis to 2 straight losses here. So give me Moicano in the co-main event, or in the main event, excuse me. So thanks for watching, guys. That was a full card breakdown and predictions video for UFC Paris, UFC Moicano versus Saint-Denis. Hit the like button down below. Let's try to get as many likes as possible. Put a comment down below. Like I said, curious to see, what do you think about the Moicano versus Benoit fight? Do you agree with my analysis, or do you think Benoit is the clear side there? And which fights are you most confident in? Who are you betting on? Things like that. Curious to see what you guys have to say. Besides that, guys, as far as a parlay of the week this week, I would do a parlay with Morgan Charrier, Omar Sy, and Jacqueline Cavalcanti. So there you go with that. And as far as my most confident pick, I'll say Ludovic Klein. So thanks for watching, guys. Go to patreon.com/PredictionGuru for extra bets, extra content on other MMA promotions. And I'll be back soon breaking down another fight card. Talk to you guys later.